I didn't get out of a $1.5 million debt because I was smart. I got out because I repeated something simple, even when it was uncomfortable. So I grew a company from 0 to 60 people in less than 4 years. And I actually did it from desperation and frustration and the debt. So I ended up paying off my $1.5 million debt. That debt came from after the financial crisis in 2008 and some properties that I owned. And the fact is that many people assume that I had the right strategies and a fancy model and that I was good at sales and that I was confident. But fact is when this happened, and this was from 2012 and then 4 years after, I didn't understand sales. I didn't feel confident. I often felt very wrong doing it. So my point in this is that it wasn't about genius, it was about repetition and repetition of something simple. And I'm going to share this simple step with you, but I'm also going to share what actually was very, very difficult for me. And also, I am sharing this because for me, this is all about manifestation. And at that point, when I did this, I do believe that I manifested the $1.5 million debt. But I also do believe that I manifested to get out of the debt. I manifested the right coach for me. I manifested the right things to do for me. I manifested the right customers for me. I manifested all of that. And I didn't have a clear plan or anything when I started out. I was like, what's this, Bambi on ice? Bambi, right? I was like that. It was very bad. So first of all, the very simple system was this. This is how I built a company with 60 people in less than 4 years. First thing was to contact potential customers. And I'm going to just say one more thing before I'm going to tell you the 3 steps here. The first thing that is very important to mention is that this was a cleaning business. That was synchronicities showing up for me, but it was a cleaning business. You know, we went out and it actually started with me cleaning staircases. Then I found out that we were pretty good at cleaning offices, you know, professional cleaning service in offices. And probably because I've been in management for 20 years before this, so I knew my way around offices. So the thing is, with cleaning business, I don't know about your country, but in my country, everybody can start a cleaning business. You just need a mop and a bucket and maybe a little bit of soap, and that's it. Some cloths maybe, but that's it. You can start like that. Which means there is a lot of competition. And there's also a lot of competition where it's about the pricing. But that's for another story. I just want to share that this was the area that I grew that company in. And again, I wasn't confident. I was not a salesperson, and I felt like Bambi on ice. So the very simple system was contacting potential customers. Then have a meeting with potential customers. And from that meeting, make an agreement, a contract. Nothing fancy here. No funnels, no technique stuff and all of these things that's very popular today. None of all of that. No AI, no clever campaigns, no smart words, nothing like that. So really simple. That's how I manifested a business with 60 people in it with those 3 simple steps. Contact potential customers, do meeting with potential customers, and agree on the contract. That's it. Obviously, there are some different things to do in each of these 3s, and then we have to get people in, and then we have to figure out how to systemize the whole business, and we have to figure out how to become a leader in our business. All of these things too. But those 3 things were the things that I used and did on repeat to manifest a business with 60 people and pay off my $1.5 million debt. Sounds easy, right? So why is it that this is not easy for many people, me included when I started? So first of all, the hard part here wasn't knowledge. I can teach you this in a 30-minute video. I can go through it. I can teach you exactly what I did. The hard part wasn't knowledge. The hard part was doing it, and doing it when it felt uncomfortable, doing it when I had so much other stuff that I could do instead, and then staying with it. Because this is the thing that I've seen. I've coached many business owners, many entrepreneurs since that, helping them with the same things. This is what I've seen again and again, and I actually did it myself some years ago. Something is working, it's very simple, and then for some reason we make it more complex. So for me, it was just about doing these things and repeat them day after day, week after week. And one thing that was very hard was also to do it when I doubted myself, because even though, and I've done thousands of meetings in those 4 years, even though that I, with practice, with exercise, with the sales meetings, with the calls and all of that, with all those repetitions, it became part of what I did and who I was. But still, I had days and weeks where I felt like this is not working. I will never succeed. I will never get out of the debt. I will never achieve my goals. But I had to move on. So a couple of the things that I did also was to make sure that this could actually happen was that I protected my time in my calendar for sales. I was so focused on the sales meetings. And then I took action, like I mentioned before. I stayed with it, I took action, and here's one thing that I've learned the hard way was that instead of sitting and figuring it out, and I've seen this with people I've helped, instead of sitting and figuring things out and trying to write things down, how is this plan and what will happen and all of that, the only way to figure these things out is actually to take some action and try them out. And then we will learn, then we will get feedback, then we will be able to adjust, to improve, to make it better. So one of the biggest things for me at that time with that thing was that I didn't wait until I feel confident. Confidence came after the repetition. This is very important. This is key. I didn't wait till I felt it was the right moment or I felt confident. Confidence came after doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I got comfortable with it. So, and I said this is all about manifestation. So why is it that I'm saying this is all about manifestation? Because at that time, that was how manifestation actually worked for me. One thing is, not by thinking my way out of this. It all started with a decision, and I felt that decision so much inside of me, so much clarity, so much energy from that decision. And from that decision, synchronicities showed up on my way, and I followed them. I didn't think about it. I followed them. I just followed what felt right without thinking about it. That's another learning that I've learned, that if I try to think, this one will really hurt us many times, because it only operates from all the fear inside. It only operates from all the hurts and all the failures and all of those things, because it want to protect us. It's a deep mechanism inside of us. So that's one thing I learned, was to just, when things opened up, when suddenly there was the right coach for me, I didn't have to think. I just set up the meeting. We met. I made an agreement with him, and when the next seminar around the world showed up for me, I didn't think. I just went. When I had a big business potential meeting with our biggest, and it became our biggest customer, we made $20K a month US dollars on that agreement. And I sat in that meeting, and he asked me, have you ever done anything like this before? And I said, no. And he said, how do you think you're gonna make this work? And I said, I have no clue right now, but if you pick me, I'm gonna make it work. And we did. There was a lot of money involved, but it was also maybe one of the toughest time in the cleaning business history, of my cleaning business history. But I learned from that. So my point is here that manifestation, for me, it was just from that decision and willing to take action and not think too much, but just following what showed up. And then aligned action. And aligned action here means that it wasn't that I felt like this is the right way for me to sit and call people to go on sales meeting, because I didn't feel that was the right way for me. My system was telling me not to do this. But if I've listened to the system, I wouldn't have done the sales meetings, and I wouldn't have grown the company. Maybe something else would have happened, but I wouldn't have paid off my debt in $1.5 million in 4 years. And maybe something else would have happened. We never know, right? But I did that from this. I manifested that from this. So manifestation for me at that point, remember we are back in 2012 to 2016, around that. It wasn't about believing harder. It was about me staying in motion, taking action, the next steps showing up, taking action. And then I didn't bypass the discomfort. I learned, and at that time I didn't have the same experience as I have today, so my teaching is much more deep today, because today when I say staying present, it's a whole new level for me. But the fact is, I didn't bypass discomfort. And that's a big learning I've had recently, that I was because I'm so aware now, so I was sitting, and I will make another video around this, but I was sitting and I was just feeling, and there was some nervousness, and I was sitting and, okay, what is this nervousness telling me right now? And I was staying with that and trying to figure it out. And I did this for years now. And it came to me, okay, there's a point in time, and there's no right or wrong here, I believe. There's a point in time where the right thing is to stay with all of this inside and learn how to regulate and learn how to let go and learn about ourselves. And then there's a time which is now for me, as I sit here, feels right, to not just sit with the things showing up, with the nervousness showing up, but also taking action, and then at the same time being aware of what's going on inside. And this is not something a person just can't do. It takes practice. And this is exactly why I created the 7-day manifestation reset challenge in our community. It's a free challenge, and the link is below this video if you want to check it out. So what happened, and when I look at many entrepreneurs, many self-employed people today, is that I don't see that people lack knowledge. If we want to manifest something, I don't see that people lack knowledge. There's more knowledge around now than there has ever been in history. It's more easy to get to that knowledge. You can just go to YouTube. You can just check on Facebook. You can check on Instagram. You can check on the internet. You can get all the knowledge you want. And we are getting every day. We'll get more knowledge. We'll know something more. So it's not about the knowledge. What I see for many people is, and I can do the same thing, that things get too complex for us. So some examples on this, like I mentioned, it was about reaching out, doing meetings, and then agree on a contract. That was it. And today, when I look at what's going on, I see, and I also want to speak with entrepreneurs, there's so many models, there's so many strategies, there's so many ideas. And it's so easy to get caught up in finding the right one, and okay, I have to tweak this, and I'm not going to put this out before it's perfect and all of that. So what I see not enough of is repetition. It's repetition. It's making it as simple as possible and then just keep doing it. I actually saw, I don't know where this was, but I saw an interview with Sylvester Stallone recently, because he finished some kind of script for a new series or something, a new series, I think. And he said in that interview, but yes, he had been successful author or script writer for some of history's maybe most famous movies, right? But he also said, I've done hundreds of scripts that never became anything. That's the reps, the repetition. So we tend to make it much more complex than it is. And this is something that is rooted deep down inside of us to not make it as easy as possible. And this is my path right now for myself and for anyone who want to follow me is figuring out the easiest path. Not because there will not be friction, not because it will not be hard at some moments, but we don't need to make it more difficult or complex or harder than that it needs to be. Hope this makes sense. So, also what I learned, when I look back, and this is my reflection, it came from today and yesterday, this one, it's the repetition, it actually helped me calm my nervous system. And we can go very deep on this, but we can also take it a little bit light, and I will do that here. Because this is not about it being easy, but it's about it being clear. And what I've seen, and this is also in the gym, when you start in the gym, you get very sore, you get very tired, and your nervous system has to regulate to this. So I recently shifted one of my exercises, and I was like, why am I so tired? And I understood this is my nervous system working on overtime. So obviously when we do something new, we have to count in that in the beginning, even when it's meditation, or even if it's sitting down and just sitting with ourselves, it's something new for our system. But the thing is, when we begin to move, when we begin to do these things, and we do it, and we just go through that first kind of soreness in the muscles or in the brain or wherever it is, when we get direction, and that was what happened with me with the cleaning company, is that direction creates calm. Waiting doesn't. So, and this was a big one for me, because I waited when I was in that $1.5 million debt. True story. I was like, okay, I can sit on the beach and I can meditate my way into solving this. And I sat on the beach for 6 months or something, meditating on money coming to me and all of these things. They didn't come to me. And then you can say, okay, they actually ended up coming to me. But I had to take the action, not waiting. So I will talk more about these things. I'm just sharing as things come up here. And I just want to say, if you're stuck right now, this is my probably thing with this video. It's probably not because you don't know enough. That's not the reason why you're stuck. The reason might be because you are avoiding one simple thing you actually know you need to repeat. So that's an idea. And again, as I say, in the 7-day manifestation challenge, the reset challenge, it's not about doing more. It's not about strategies. It's not about all of these things. In that challenge, that's why it's called the reset challenge. It's actually about sitting with oneself and becoming aware what's going on inside. With that awareness, when we begin to learn what's going on inside, we can begin to adjust. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this helped a bit. And again, if you want to check out our community and also the 7-day free challenge, which is very powerful, very simple, then the link is below here. I will see you in the next one.